Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hampshire Outdoors Survival. So it's Thursday. I'm live. Just an update on you. First of all, let you know the leg is getting better. I have been and had it looked at today. They've told me stay off it for another week, and then hopefully I can start getting back onto it gradually and building it back up. So yeah, getting there. Annoying thing is downside. I'm doing videos from home, and to be honest with you, although it looks like a fantastic amount of kit, apart from sitting there and going through it one item by one item, really, it's quite frustrating. So what I've done, I've sat down today and thought, well, I'll knock out a live, and I'll go through some of the bits I've been asked about lately. And some of the things I've been asked is about kit, about what gear do I use, what do I recommend. And one of the things always comes back to a kit is the basics, things like clothing. Where do you go with your clothing? What do you use clothing wise? And that varies from person to person. So me, I like combats. I like combats because they're rugged and reliable. And I've been trialing 3 pairs of combats from Timu for 6 months, and I've been putting these trousers through their paces. Now, the reason I bought Timu trousers was one, because they were cheap. Two, because I thought, do you know what? Let's give them a go. Three, I couldn't get the ones I was really looking for. So, what have we got? Well, trouser wise, I've got these, which look very similar to the MTP pattern. Do excuse the tummy, I shall hide that. MTP pattern combat trousers. Okay, now all the pocket positions are the same, and they're good sized pockets. The trouser leg or the thigh pocket's a good one. I really actually like that, because you can take a litre bottle and it will take that with comfort. It will fill that pocket easily without being too tight. So that works well. On the lower leg, a lot of people get confused what this pocket is for. Okay, well, this is a driver's pocket. If you imagine you're in a vehicle being transported, and you might have something that you go to regularly, be it nibbles or maybe your smokes. Okay, that pocket there, when you're in a seating position, is absolutely perfect to go to for those things. And it's an expanding pocket. Okay, works really, really well. It's great, and that's what it is. It's a transport pocket. It's so that you've got a pocket you can go to when you're in a seated position. Makes it a little bit easier than trying to scramble in and out of these pockets up here. So that really was developed and designed for guys that were going to be drivers. I wouldn't say so much pilots, because I think you've got your hands on all the controls, but for those sort of guys. Now, the combats themselves, okay, they're made out of a ripstop material. They are, in actual fact, for a cheap pair of trousers, really well made. I'm quite impressed. They are. Let's see if I can show you one of the leg seams here. Show you a leg seam. So I say it's a ripstop material, but it's actually triple sewn. Okay, so the seams, the actual hems are triple sewn. Around the pockets, single stitching. Which is a shame, but it seems to stand up to the wear and tear. The tops of pockets, where you're going to get pressure around the top of the pocket, putting things in and out, they've backed it and double stitched it. So really, really well put together. The only modification I made to them was, as I do with a lot of my trousers, I put some elastics basically into the hems around the bottom, because in some of the areas I'm in, it can be a high tick risk. And so I can just tighten that up around the top of my boots, and that gives me that little bit of seal there. As combats go, they've lasted really well. And I have put these through some stink. I really have. These have been worn out in the bush, in the woods. They've been on all my camps. I wear them doing bits and pieces around the house, in the garden. I use them as slobbies for just chucking around in. They've taken everything. I've not had any of the belt loops come away. None of the buttons have come away. The fly zip, which initially I thought, a bit flimsy. No, it stood up to all the abuse I can throw at it. And being a man of a certain age, That's it. Maybe a bit busier than some of you younger lads. I drink a cup of coffee and I need a wee, and it is definitely taking the abuse. The button, simple button system, and a fly, and it's a brass fly. Okay, like I say, it doesn't seem to be that substantial, but it's taken the abuse I've given it. And again, nice big hems on the inside. They have pretty much copied the Combats really well. Yeah, they've taken all the abuse I could throw at them. Now, I got those on Temu. I can't remember where on Temu I got them, but they were Temu and they were 22 quid. Now, I bought 3 pairs. I bought 2 pairs of MTP and whilst I'm thinking about it. No, not good on life. Sorry, guys, not good on life. But I also bought a pair of black. Okay, so the MTP pattern in black. Do I recommend them? Yeah, got my recommendation for 22 quid. That was a sturdy, good wearing pair of trousers. They're light enough in the summer to be breathable, and they're thick enough for this time of year. Winter, yeah, you're definitely going to want to layer underneath it in the winter. The ripstop has stood up to the abuse that I've given it. I have snagged them in places, caught them on things. I caught the inner thigh on one pair on a barbed wire fence, tiny little hole in it, and the ripstop worked. It didn't spread. So yeah, Temu Combats, 22 quid a pair. Can I recommend them? Yeah, I reckon I'll get another 2 years out of these easily. Okay, now things they don't have that you find in some of the modern copy Combats don't have any knee pads. But again, realistically, do you need knee pads? It's always a handy thing to have, but it adds bulk and weight. Installation wise, yeah, they're windproof. They're not waterproof, but they are windproof. They are good. They will keep the wind out. In actual fact, in the summer for more distance walking, I tended to drop to a pair of shorts, but these would be ideal in your kit for evening wear. Okay. Hi Sticks, how you doing, mate? Hi Stephen, how you doing? Right, so there are 5 of you out there. Fantastic. So that was the trousers, and yeah, I can recommend them. They will take some abuse. Next thing I wanted to talk about, have a look at. So we had our camp back in or summer camp, and a very good friend of mine, Lee Michelle, came down and he brought some kit down for us. And he brought some kit down for 1, help me make videos. 2, so that we'd have spare kit for other guys that were coming to camps in the future that might not have gear of their own. But he also brought me down a present. Okay. And he brought me down this. Now, I haven't had much to do with SE knives. Okay. And I looked at it and I went, nice orange knife, nice rescue knife, fits in the hand well. It's got good shape, good feel to it. The blade isn't too big and bulky. I thought, wonder I wonder how I would get on with it. So originally it had paracord around the handle. Now, I'm not keen on paracord on handles myself. I know a lot of other people like it. I'm not so keen on it. But I thought what I'd do, I'll give it a try and see how it works. Now, this has actually gone into my kit because the abuse I gave it in the first few days, it stood up to really well and it's held its edge. Pretty good knife. Okay. You can buy a scale kit to fit to it, so you can put scales on it. You could bind it in paracord. You could do anything you wanted with it. But I've actually found it's a very good knife. Now, it's has gone into my thumb as well. Yeah, it is sharp. I did slice my thumb whilst playing with it and showing some of my mates. Yeah, it is a very good knife. So that's the SE Izula. Now, Lee, thank you very much for that, my friend. I hope you don't mind me saying, but I had a look today. I thought, well, if people are interested in that, I might have to have a look. It's an £80 knife. Now, me personally, I can't budget for £80 knives normally. All right. That's well out of my budget. I would have looked at the cost and gone, nah, not for me. But receiving it as a gift, I'm very, very grateful for it, and I will treasure that item. And every time I use it, I will think of him. All right, great knife. And if you're looking at building a rescue kit, a really top end, good quality rescue kit, that's where that belongs. That is in my survival kit and gear. That is a good quality knife. It's a high carbon steel, and the blade is powder coated to protect the blade. I may well take a small area off at the back there with a file, so that it can do a ferro rod. But yeah, it is worth it. It is worth it. If you've got the budget for it, I could say, yeah, go and have a look at Essie knives. Now, for a tighter end of the budget, and I must say that's had a bit of abuse with me for a couple of months. And again, I don't like to just get an item, do a review. I like to get it, take it out, I beast it, play with it, chuck it around, use it for what it's meant for, see how it stands up to it, and then come back and give you an honest review. What do I think? And I will always be straight and honest about it, because the last thing I ever want in the world is somebody coming back to me going, "Oh, Mick, you said buy this, and it turned out to be pants." Which brings me to another item. There will be something for you to see that went wrong. There was a piece of kit that I got that I tried. Yeah, we've got to put a bit of a warning on that. But anyhow, coming back to knives. Okay, so we all understand British law. Okay, so that law, the law applies to that as well. So that knife, I can stick in my kit, take up the woods, use up the woods. I can have it in my survival kit, kept away from me, not to hand. Yeah, that's not a problem. What can you carry every day? Well, I used to have a Leatherman on my belt, but always bumping into this plain issue of, oh, Leatherman's lock. And even when I disengaged the lock on my Leatherman, so it no longer locked, I still got, oh, but Leathermans have locking blades. I've disabled the lock. Yeah, but it's a Leatherman, it has a locking blade. It used to drive me up the wall. So I just turned around and went, do you know what? Let's find myself a good quality penknife. UK legal penknife. Something I can have in my pocket, not worry about the law, not worry about requirements, legalities, and other issues, yet would be a practical, functional knife for me, and at a fair price. Because when you do go out and you look at these things, you can spend an absolute fortune. So for my requirement was weight. I wanted something light. This is an everyday in my pocket carry. I didn't want it to be heavy. I wanted it to be simple, light, effective, and have a few tools that I know I'm going to use on a regular basis. So, of course, that always takes you towards the Swiss Army knife. Now, Victorinox and Swiss Army knives, legendary. Can't knock them. You know you're getting quality. Some of them are ridiculously mahoosive. I mean, there's like every tool Snap-on have ever produced within that knife. Awesome. Can't knock the big ones. They've got everything you want. Magnifying glasses, lasers, tweezers, you name it. It's got it. However, it comes back to that issue of weight. What do I practically want? What do I practically carry on a daily basis? So I had a good look through their system, and the one that caught my eye for 24 quid was the Tinker. Now, the reason the Tinker caught my eye, and I quite liked it, is it doesn't have a corkscrew. Personally, I don't really have a lot of use for a corkscrew. Yes, I know you can wind it into a log and pick the log up and carry a log with it. Yeah, I know it's got many other uses than opening a cork, but for me, I didn't really need it, and I wanted to cut down on the weight. So the Tinker, what does that provide me with? Well, that gives me the tin opener, and it's a good tin opener. Tried it out; it works. Gives me a bottle opener. Okay, gives me a little wire stripper there, which is handy for me when I'm tinkering on motorcycles and things. A reasonably sturdy, good quality, broad-headed screwdriver that end, and a smaller screwdriver that end, which I know this camera's not the best, but there is a little screwdriver on that end. On top of that, I should put those away. It then gives me a nice small blade, very sharp, very, very small. And it gives me the larger blade, both UK legal, non-locking, hold a good edge, okay, which I liked. And another essential for me was a pair of scissors, okay. Now, they're only tiny little scissors, but they're sharp, they're very efficient. And the reason I like to have a pair of scissors on a penknife is I regularly, outdoors, messing about in the woods, snag my fingernails. We've all done it. You break that fingernail and it runs back towards the quick, and then you've got that nervy moment where you go, I could just like that, but if it tears back, it's going to sting like a swine and be a pain in the bum. That's where they come in. Honestly, that is literally the main reason I have them. Is over the years, a little pair of scissors like that you can just get in, nip it off. Absolutely brilliant. Okay. Now, on top of that, on the back of the penknife, you've got the awl. Okay. With its little eye, so that you can use it for sewing leather, stitching things back together and that. And it is a good awl. If you want to bore a hole through something, it's quite efficient. It works very, very well. And you have the Phillips screwdriver. Okay. Which isn't too bad. The next thing is a bit of an oddity, because this comes out of something very, very old-fashioned, has many uses today, and that is the Swiss Army hook. Okay, it is just a simple hook. Now that I've always been intrigued by it, and I did my research, had a look through the Swiss Army archives. So that goes back to a time when packages and parcels were tied with string. And that was so that you could pick up a package or a parcel by the strings and carry it. Absolutely brilliant. But the thing is, that's what it was invented for. And then people found that it had 101 other uses, whether it be pulling cordage, laces through things, pushing through something to pull a cable back through, or so on, or even just to finish a knot, tying something off. Absolutely brilliant bit of kit. So they've kept it, and it's been a mainstay on their knives ever since. Toothpick. Yeah, you say yourself toothpick. Yeah, I like a bit of steak, so occasional toothpick comes in handy. And they're little tweezers. And these, a lot of people look at them and go, oh, it's not going to be very effective. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, these tweezers are my go-to for ticks. Okay, you pick up a tick on you or your dog, they're absolutely brilliant. Okay, and that's pretty much all it is on that little penknife. Okay, everything I could use or need on a day-to-day basis in a small, efficient, fairly light penknife. UK legal, lives in my pocket. And the funny thing is, you can pull out any knife you want that's UK legal, and people frown at it. But the minute you pull out a Swiss Army knife, people go, "Oh, Swiss Army pocket knife! Oh, brilliant, brilliant!" What? So, yeah, that's what I went with. And I've beasted this one now I've had it for 3 months. I've used it in camps, carry it every single day. It gets used for everything. I've cut petrol pipe on motorcycles. I've done bits around the house with it. I've used that hook 100 times. Okay. Great little pocket knife to carry. So again, if you're looking for an everyday carry, that's what I'd recommend for me. But again, go and have a look at their store. Find what suits you. You might want a file on there. You might want a wood saw on there. You might want there any number of different ones you can get, and they don't have to have the red scales. They do wood scales and all sorts. So again, have a look through, see what you find. Okay, that's the way to go. Now, let's get on to something that went drastically wrong. Let's get on to something that turned into a bit of a disaster. Let's get to something that is a brilliant piece of kit if they put the information with it to stop an idiot like me using it incorrectly and completely ballsing something up. So, I'm just going to get another bit of kit down for you, actually, because that'll help put this into perspective. So, in my survival kits, I'm a great lover of these, which are boil in the bag heat packs. I do a lot with boil in the bags, military style rations. Okay, and these are superb because you've got this little pack in here, water up to there, put your rations in, roll it up, and they're heated. It will heat them in 10 minutes. Absolutely superb. And lots of instructions in different languages. Wonderful, methinks. Absolutely groovy. Brilliant. Everybody I've introduced these to goes, do you know what? That is brilliant. And it is good because you're heating water. That water you cannot drink. It's toxic. It tells you on this, do not drink the water under any circumstances. However, if you put it into a container that you're not too worried about, you've got a hot water bottle. Brilliant. Methinks awesome. So then I was provided with a pack of these. Mickey went, ooh, ooh, ooh. Got to be the same sort of thing. So the water's not going to be drinkable. However, these don't come with a bag you put them in. These just come like that as the individual packs. And Mickey thought, ooh, I like that. And these ones, according to their own blurb, will keep water near boiling for nearly an hour. Mickey thinks, brilliant. So Mickey has to try it out, doesn't he? Mickey has to try it out. So Mickey diligently read everything on the front, read everything on the bottom, turned it round, read everything on the back. And it does say, ideally to be used with their own heat system. So Mickey has a look online and he can't find one, and he thinks to himself, oh, never mind, it's boiling the bags anyhow. So as long as I put the boil in the bag in a container with the water and chuck in one of these, it will warm it, won't it? Well, yes, it did. It did warm it. It warmed it very, very well. It worked brilliantly. Took a little while to get going, but it did a fantastic job. And did it stay hot for an hour? Hell yeah, it stayed hot for an hour. I wouldn't say it was boiling, but it stayed hot enough to heat food for an hour. I could have done several meals for several people. Brilliant. Mickey thinks, brilliant. At the end of the experiment, Mickey says, that pot's hot. I'll leave it on the windowsill to cool for a while. And I put it on the windowsill. And then I went and watched a program, which we will come back to in a minute. And then the following morning, Mickey thinks to himself, I better empty that water out of that, dispose of that heat pack sensibly, and see how we're doing. Well, that was a brand new pan. That's what it did to the inside. That's where I had a tin of baked beans sitting. Yeah, it ate the coating off of the pan and started to dissolve the metal underneath. It absolutely 100% destroyed the pot to the point where I cannot use this pot at all for anything. Unfortunately for me, Yellowstone, I love your product. It's brilliant. But you need to stick a warning on that saying don't use it in metal, titanium. Things is to be used in a when I went and did the research afterwards and went, what the hell happened there? The actual heating kit or the cooking system is plastic. Okay, so there's a word of warning for you. Any of you that are using the heat packs from Yellowstone, or if you're taking the heat packs out of these to use in another system, don't put it into a metal system. Okay, these are made or filled with quicklime. Okay, Google and do your research on quicklime. Quite a dodgy chemical, quite dangerous. They do work very, very well, but you could kill your pots and pans if you're not careful. Okay, and it's quite interesting how the baked bean tin sealed the area around that, and it just left a perfect imprint of it. So, Yellowstone heat packs. Now you can get a pack of those like that on eBay for $7.95. Do I say they're bad? No, I say they're great. Absolutely brilliant. High-powered heat packs. Okay, cook safely without the need for fire. Brilliant. Just used a plastic container. In actual fact, looking at the cook set, it looks to be like a Tupperware tub with a little vent in the top so that steam can escape. And you basically put your boiling bags in the Tupperware with these and go from that. And I'm actually going to experiment with that this weekend. I'm going to give that a go. I have myself a Tupperware tub. There we go. One of the little survival boxes. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to drill a couple of small holes in the top to act as vents, and I'm going to give that a crack and see how that works for heating boiling the bags. So it sometimes goes wrong. It's annoying. It cost me a pan. Learned the lesson. Share it with you guys, and hopefully it won't happen to you. So there. So that brings me back to, what was that program I went off and watched? Well, I've been watching Outlast on Netflix, and you're all survival buddies, you're all outdoorsmen, you all like that sort of thing. Season 1. I'm not going to talk about season 2 because if any of you haven't seen it, I don't want to ruin it for you. Season 1, which I saw last year or year before, was an eye opener. Okay, because it confirmed to me something that I've said and taught for many years, which is if you stick 20 people together in a survival situation, you've got the three types of people. Okay, you've got the sheep, the wolf, and the sheepdogs. Very, very few sheepdogs out there, but you've got wolves and you've got sheep. Season 1 really demonstrated that really well, that when you put people into a tricky enough situation. So if I give you this scenario, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's a simple scenario. Take 16 people out into the Alaskan wilderness, give them the absolute minimum they need to survive, split them into 4 teams, and then leave them to it. The last team standing wins. Now, you've got to be a member of a team to win. And the prize is $1 million. Okay? It's a lot of money. Okay? Now, you can be voted off of a team. Oh, that's interesting. You can leave at any time. Fire a flare. Leave. Other people can see you've left. And if you find yourself without a team, say all your team members are eaten by bears, beavers, things like that, or Jack, you've got 24 hours to get accepted by one of the other teams, or yourself is eliminated. So there's a lot of pressure in this. So it makes it quite an interesting challenge. The kit they're given is a basic survival kit. So they're given an axe, they're given a ferro rod, they're given a couple of tarpaulins and a couple of wool blankets. Other than that, a couple of tins with clean water for the first few days, which you're then going to have to use to cook on and so on. Brilliant format, Mickey thinks. Interesting. The survival side itself, for those of you that are practically minded and good survivalists, isn't so hard because you already know your priorities. What makes it difficult is when you actually see the people. It's trying to work as a team, trying to pull different mindsets, attitudes, and people together and see how it works. It was also interesting to see those that were honest and those that lied. Okay, because in the beginning, when they're selecting the teams, they all get asked by the guys that are going to be team leaders, "What can you bring to my team?" And it's surprising the amount of people that go, "I'm an expert survivalist and hunter, me." And then when I'm watching it, I'm going, "Mate, don't know your ass from a hole in the ground." Okay, so brilliant series. Season 1, absolute eye opener to humanity. Best and worst in humanity. Really was. And I will say you don't see the best in humanity to the very last episode. Season 2 so far, I'm halfway through it and I'm enjoying it. It's interesting. I like to see the struggle. I like to see the difficulty. I like to see how people adapt and move forward. And as a survivalist, as somebody that's a prepper, a survivalist, and that, this program, this TV series, is a great learning curve. Not so much in looking at their skills, although watching their skills is quite interesting. It's seeing interaction in people. if you ever find yourself stuck in a situation where it's you and a band of people, this is what you've got to remember at all times, is how they react. And you can see how it works well and how it works bad. Be interesting to get to the end of the season. I think I've asked Chris, and I'm going to ask Owen to have a watch of it, watch it through, and then after it's finished, we'll do it on a podcast. We will do a bit of a podcast. We'll do a breakdown on what we thought of it, how we thought the characters played along, and how it went. But yeah, so that is Outlast on Netflix. Really is worth a watch. And like I say, if you can watch season 1 first, yeah, do so. Do so. Yeah. Could we do Outlast here in the UK? That was a question I was asked earlier on, funnily enough. Could we do Outlast here in the UK? Yes, we could. We would need a pleasant enough landowner with enough ground to be able to run it on, who would allow the hunting of game. Now, the issue we have is some of the methods that they can use for hunting game we can't legally use here in the UK. It's illegal to hunt game with a bow, but however, you could trap, you could do a UK version, you could make it quite interesting. You could use fishing techniques, trapping techniques, and maybe even, rather than a bow, equip them with an air rifle and a limited amount of ammunition. Yeah, you could. So you could do Outlast. It'd be interesting to see how also the psychology of people from the UK would vary from people from the States. There's a whole lot to look into there. But it's a fantastic series. It's fascinating. It's a really good watch. It's quite intriguing, quite in depth, and like I say, it's a very good look at the human people in high stress situations. The one thing that I will say to you, they've all got all the way through this, and it's a double edged sword. Is they can bail, at any time. You can fire a flare, bail. I've had enough. Not doing any more of this. Fire your flare, you're off. You know you can walk away. The other thing is you can get medically evaluated. So if you obviously it's a production. So if somebody is becoming ill, injured, or whatever, they've got a duty of care to look after them. They come in, look at them, do the evaluation. If they decide that you are too unhealthy, unfit to carry on, you'll be pulled off, or you can say, "I'm bailing. That's it. I'm done." Now, in a genuine survival situation, obviously you're never going to have that. It is going to be a push through. Okay, it is going to be, we've got to manage, we've got to keep going. When you look at stories like the Belgica, you look at stories in the Sahara, you look at other situations where people have been in genuine situations, you don't have that. And I think that creates a different bond. I think when you understand that we've all got to pull together, no matter what our differences, to live, not just win a prize, but to actually survive, it's different. The other thing is the mentality and mindset of people going into this is, some are seeing it as a challenge, some are seeing it as a competition. Now, survival isn't a competition. Survival is just getting by day by day. It's going from this day to tomorrow. That's your victory. Making it to the next day is your victory. So again, you have to apply the whole mindset thing. But it's a great look into human race and humanity. Um, so hopefully, yeah, for those of you that haven't seen it, dive along and see it. Like I say, I'll say it again, it's Outlast on Netflix. For those of you that have seen it, yeah, don't tell me who wins this one, because I've already. And also, when we do the podcast, make some notes when you're going through it. Of as you go through it, who would you like to have been with? Right? Which guys would you have liked to have on your team? Who do you think would have been an asset you'd have got on with and you could have pushed through with? Yeah, that's another thing to look at. And as I'm watching the series, it's what I'm sitting there and I'm going, I could have worked with that one, could have worked with that one, could have worked with that one, could have worked with that one. It'd be interesting to do. maybe next season, I can get me, Virginia Bushcrafter, John, Derek, and that on there up in Alaska. Unfortunately, you don't get to pick your team. That's the only downside. So even if we get picked onto other teams, we've already worked out that what we're going to do is walk away from them teams and set our own team up, beat everybody. It's called Outlast, Elusive. Outlast on Netflix. Okay, it's really, really good look at. Really good look at. Like I say, it makes quite an adventure. Oh, quite an interesting watch. It's one of those. First time I watched it, I was like, yeah, I'm intrigued with this. And the season one took me onto a spiral where I was literally, I was at the point of going, hate it, but I need to watch it because I've got to find out what happens. Okay, and like I say, season one, worst in humanity and best in humanity. Okay, but you won't find out what I'm on about with the best in humanity till the very last episode. And for those of you that have already seen it, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That was very interesting. Yeah, it is damn good series. Hopefully they'll carry on with it and do a third and fourth one. Because there are a lot. There's been a lot done over the years in survival programs. You know, I'm not knocking anybody like Bear Grylls and all the rest of it, but the truth of the matter is, big production team, no real drive. Let's go out into the jungle. Let's spend a few days in the jungle. That sort of thing doesn't do it for me because I know at the end of the day they can get pulled out. These are ordinary Joes that volunteered for this. Most of them are there for the milling. They obviously want to win it, and the goal is outlast. Stay there. Keep your team there longer than everybody else. Robbery is robbery encouraged? Season one, robbery is not encouraged. They're allowing human nature to follow its path. And the lesson in this program is that some people will, some people won't. Okay? And it's a mindset thing. In a survival situation, would you steal food from somebody else? Yeah, that's a question you've got to ask yourself. That's quite a deep and dark question. And how far would you be prepared to go to survive yourself? That's the other question this brings into mind. Okay. It's how far would you be prepared to go? All right. And it's very easy for us to sit here, me in the man cave, you guys at home or at work or wherever you are, and go, yeah, I'll go all the way. The reality of it is, could you? Would you? We've all got a morality. We've all got a level of morality. We've all got certain boundaries that we wouldn't cross. Okay? Those boundaries are what keep us human. They keep us human beings. Those are the boundaries that separate us from animals. Okay? It's quite interesting to see how when those boundaries come into play, we come back to what I've always said, which is there are the sheep, the wolves, and the sheepdogs. And unfortunately, the sheepdogs are very, very far and few between. Majority are sheep. Quite a large minority are wolves, true wolves. But then you've got the sheepdogs. If I wanted to be any one of those three, I'd want to be the sheepdog. Yeah. Coffee. Anyway, so what else can we get into? Is there anything anybody else ask? Anything you want to see off the walls? Any questions you want to ask? Oh, by the way, for all those guys that sent Kaz a comment, Thank you. She was really, really nervous doing a video. Okay. That's her first one. That was entirely Kaz's effort. Okay. She did all the research, set up, and that's it. All I did was set up the cameras for it, and I walked out the room. Came back up, and she started doing her own editing, and I gave her a little bit of pointers towards that and walked away again to leave her to do it. So thank you very much for all those people that commented on Kaz's video on garlic, and she's going to do more. She's going to do a bit of cooking, which I must ask you to be a little bit patient with, because obviously she's got severe arthritis in her hands. Makes it very difficult for her to use her fingers, for her to bend and flex her hands. But discuss sharpening a saw. Yeah, we can go to sharpening a saw. In fact, actually, I got given a saw. I got given a saw that I'm actually going to be doing a video on and going out and trying out, and doing a bit of a comparison. So, as you see, I've got a Silky Big Boy up there. Okay, yeah, it's all right. Is it worth the money? I had a Bahco Laplander for years before that, and I loved it. Great saw. I've also had, over the years, your cheap generic ones that you buy from B&Q and places like that. Okay, you know that $9.99 cuts as well as the Bahco. Might not last as well as the Bahco, but cuts as well as the Bahco. The Silky, now Silky, Japanese company, pruning saws. That's what they make. If you're big into bonsai, arboriculture, tree surgery, things like that, Silky is the name to go with. That's what they'll use. Okay, that's what they were designed for. Top end tools, which means they're expensive. For what I do, it's a great bit of kit. It gives me a longer draw. Yeah, it's great. Is it worth the 80 quid? If you've got a spare 80 quid, yeah, of course it is. But yeah, go with a Bahco or you know, whatever you can afford. It's on the downside that nobody ever talks about, is its size. It's quite a bulky item. It's quite a bulky item to put in your kit. Yeah, the length of that drawer is fantastic. You're cutting larger pieces of wood. But how big are you realistically going to cut? If I was going out into the woods, yeah, I'd take it. I like it. You can buy a replacement blades. However, I was given one of these, which I'm getting quite excited about trying. I'm getting quite excited about trying that. Now, this is now quite the draw of the Big Boy, but look at those teeth. And that is a bi-directional cut as well, so I'm going to cut both ways on that. So that's going to be interesting to try. It's also a thinner blade than the Big Boy, which means it's going to be less prone to sticking. And the nice thing with this is the fact that it folds down to that, which lengthwise is probably 2 or 3 inches shorter than the Big Boy. And probably 4 inches longer than the cheapo. But it's weight. It's aluminium. It's light. It's light. So I'm going to be trying that out, giving that a bash, see how it goes. Now, we were talking Asked a question there about sharpening saws. Okay, so it depends on what sort of saw you got to how you sharpen it, or what you sharpen it with, or how you go through the sharpening process. So if you take something like the Silky, you can see how close together those teeth are. To sharpen those teeth is really, really difficult. Okay, and also the fact that they are a high tensile, high carbon steel tooth. Okay, sharpening in those, you could do it. You could do it with a very, very fine file, and you could work your way along. All right, you could do it, but they're close set teeth. Very, very tricky to do without damaging them or ruining them. And that's something that happens quite often with the Silkies is the tops get knocked off. If you hit a nail or something, you'll blunt those teeth very, very quickly. Once blunted, they are ruined. Okay, if you've got something like open it up again. If you have something like a standard saw blade, where it has more open teeth, as you can see there, you actually stand a bit more chance of filing that. And again, you're going to want to use a file, not stone, but you could file these points back in. Okay, so again, it works. So it's same as a chainsaw, really. At the end of the day, it's a little bit of maintenance can go a long, long way. The other thing to bear in mind as well with something like this, you're packing that in there. What does a spare blade cost and weigh? You know, I could pack 2 or 3 other blades in there. I could also put different types of blades in there. So when you've got your saws, you get hardwood saws, softwood saws. You can get crosscut saws. You can get planking saws. So again, you can get different blades. If you were going out to build a shelter in the woods or a long-term in the woods situation, you could take different blades for different jobs. And to reiterate that, this is another one that I was given. This one I've got to have a bit of a play with and have a bit of a figure out, because this saw is a bit different, but this actually has a very fine saw blade there. Now that fine saw blade, I've got to try and work out, is that good for metal, or is it a bone saw, or is it plastics? What is it really designed for? I've got to figure that out, which will take a little bit of effort, a little bit of time, a little bit of trial and error. But again, we'll work that out, because obviously that looking at that teeth set on that, it's not going to be much cop for cutting wood. It's the wrong sort of. It's too fine a tooth. It's going to clog up quite quickly. I'm not saying you couldn't cut wood with it, but it would take a hell of an effort. Yeah, I mean, so Virginia, you already sharpen your saw, wise man. That's the way to go. It's the other thing is, it's when you're sharpening anything, all you're going to do is all you're looking at doing is regaining your profile. So you've got to really examine the tooth and how it's designed, the shape of it, the angles on it, and when you sharpen it, what you're going to do is reapply those angles. When you sharpen chainsaws and you sharpen wood saws, you're basically turning it back. It's hard one to explain. Draw a picture time, Mickey. Okay, so I'm going to draw a picture. No, No, that ain't gonna work. Ain't gonna work. So if you look at that, you think of that as a saw edge. That arrow is the direction of cut, okay? Because you can see you've got the more vertical edges in the front. The back is a leading edge to support. Okay, so that's the supporting. That's the leading edge. And what you're going to do with that blunts is usually a profile like a knife edge, usually offset like a chisel cut. And exactly the same as a chisel, you're going to need to sharpen that edge along there. So you sharpen off the edge, you sharpen off the chamfer. Don't ever sharpen off the flat. So when you look at a chisel edge, when you look at the edge of a chisel, the profile comes up. Profiles like that, okay? There's always a temptation to try and sharpen this side. You want to leave that side alone, right? You sharpen this here, okay? You sharpen that down towards the tip, and that brings that edge back this way. But you've got to keep that angle. You've got to keep that profile. That's the key. That profile set by the manufacturer as the optimum profile for the width of that metal and for the cut. If you cut it too fine, what you tend to find is it will wear fast. If you cut it too steep, it won't cut cleanly. It starts to clog up, it chunks, it won't cut, won't slice nicely. So it's one of those things. Oh, Virginia, you awkward swine. It's one of those things. It's not so easy for me to explain, but if I sat you here, I could. It's one of those. Yeah, I could probably talk somebody through it. Actually, trying to show it, it's a lot more difficult. And so when you look at something like that, in fact, actually, might even be a better blade on that one to show you. So when you look at the teeth on that, you can see exactly what I meant. So this cut on this is on the pull on the back. Okay, you see from the shape of the teeth, it's designed to it rips as it comes back, and then the shape of it allows it to push back through, and then it cuts on the back. Okay, and each one of those teeth is chamfered that way. In fact, it alternates on these as it comes down. So that's the chamfer that you're trying to put back on. Hopefully that helps. Yeah, kitten frame saws. I've got myself a little frame saw here from was actually donated to the channel for me to try out. I'll get it out again. I don't know if you saw it just now. So bow saw, I love a bow saw actually. And the great thing about bow saws and bow saw blades is you can improvise. Okay, so you can quite affordably go and buy yourself bow saw blades of varying lengths, varying types of cut and that, and you can improvise a bow. Okay, it's not that hard to do. There are lots of guys making what they call bushcraft bow saws, folding bow saws. And it was a go-to once upon a time. It was a regular where you basically all it is a big H shape with a cord on the top to put tension on, and the bow saw blade goes in the bottom, and then you wind the tension on, and it pulls the bow saw blade out. You can go for something like this. I say I don't know where this one come from. I know who got it for me, or who gave it to me. Yeah, little folding bow saw. Okay, a Woodessa. I'm gonna have to go and have a look this one up. Yeah, I'm looking forward to giving that a go. But yeah, bow saw blades, I would be inclined if I was going into the bush to take a selection of bow saw blades with me. Again, fine, light, easy to carry. You can adapt, modify. You can make your own bow saw. I've seen people do it out of pieces of arched beech, birch. I've seen people make the frame saws themselves. Brilliant bit of kit. Gerber saw, yeah, mate. There's loads of them out there, and pretty much, if I stick those three up, right? You got the Selkie, it's a bit expensive one. Okay, you got this one, it's probably less than a tenner. You got this one, I don't know how much this costs. Which one am I going to grab to go up the woods? Well, it depends what I'm doing. Invariably, the big boy, because I spent a bloody fortune buying it, and so I'm going to get my money's worth out of it. But in actual fact, if I didn't have the choice and somebody just chucked that at me, I'd be just as happy. Because again, it's you adapt. You adapt to what you've got and to what your needs are. And a saw is definitely better than no saw. Because it's like, I get people saying to me, "Oh, I take axes and knives, I don't use saws." Okay, and I get other people saying to me, "I take a saw and a knife because I don't use axes." But they've all got their place. They've all got their jobs. They've all got their abilities. I've seen videos this year where guys say, "I only take a bow saw. I don't carry a knife. I don't use a knife. I've literally just got an axe, and that's all I need is because the axe will do everything that a knife can." And it can, if it's the right axe with the right profile. Can it do a knife's job as well as a knife? No. Right? Can a knife, even something like my big MOD survival knife, do an axe's job as well as an axe? Well, it can, but not as well. And no knife or axe can be a saw, the same as no saw can be an axe. So it just depends on what you're doing, what the jobs are. If you can carry all three, brilliant. I mean, cross-cutting timber, especially if you want a nice flat edge, you want a saw. No two ways about it. Right? It's a lot less effort, a lot less strain, and a lot less difficult than trying to do it with something like an axe. Yes, you can cross-cut with an axe, but it makes a mess. It takes forever, and it can be a real nightmare. Yeah, exactly that, Virginia. So, you found what suits you, and that's again that is the secret to it, really, isn't it? Is find what suits you. Find experiment, trial. There's a lot of very, very, very expensive kit out there, like the Selkie, which is, and again, I can't take it from it. It's a damn good saw. Okay, did I need to spend the money on it? Do I regret buying it? No. If I was when that's knackered, what am I going to do? Am I going to buy another one? Probably not. I'll probably actually get myself a reasonable quality folding bow saw that's a bit larger. It's as simple as that. Yeah. Say that to you. There are many saws, but this saw is my saw. Exactly. And it's find what suits, find what you're comfortable with. And there are going to be guys that get back to me and say, they swear by Selkie. And they are good. They are damn good. Just if you're on a budget, okay, I think there's better routes that you can go down for a budget. If you were on a perfect world, let's face it, I'm equipping my sailing ship to go and explore the world. I'm going to have high-end bow saws, numerous Selkie saws, different sizes. I'll have them on the wall, on a rack, and I can go for a 4-inch, or I can go for a 20-inch. I can go for the katana, 4 foot long. That's the way you go. But none of us live in that world, do we? So you've got to find what suits you. TJ, it's actually the US Marine Corps sniper mantra. That's where that comes from. It's their mantra that they're taught. You're back, Sticks. Wonderful, wonderful. Sticks, where did we get to? What have I missed you out? Oh, so what have you all been up to? Oh, in actual fact, yeah. If there's anybody out there got my bushwear kit for this year, my catalogue for this autumn winter, got a nice selection of knives in there. Very nice. Looking at a Gralakin kit, that'd be interesting. I don't really do the deer management anymore, but yeah, it's a handy bit kit. They do some cold steel knives in there. Double Safe Hunter, Ranch Hand, Stockman. There's some nice classic knives. They do HME, which is quite nice budget gear. Elite Force, yeah, they're all sorts. Wellies, the whole lot. So yeah, bushwear catalogue. You can get that online. Oh, certainly will, TJ. I will catch up with what you've been doing today. As yeah, so yeah, just quick update for those of you that have joined us now. So yeah, about another week they reckon I've got to stay off this leg, and then I can start building it back up gradually. Hopefully, if we've got no issues. So we will be pushing forward with that. So again, is there anything up there on that wall you want to look at? You want me to get down, talk you through, discuss with you, show you? Is there anything you want to know? Is there anything up there you want to? It doesn't have to be a knife. It can be a bow drill kit, water kit, purification. Well, you all already know what purification I use. I swear by the Sawyer myself. Yeah. I'm running out of steam. Come on, guys, help! I'm running out of steam. Bags, rucksacks, waterproofs. Hi, Ash. How are you doing? Hope you're good in India. TJ, right. Nice bit of flint and steel. Okie doke. There are on Tinterweb, there are many companies selling flints and steels. Okay. Not all flint and steel kits are made in the same vein. Personally, in fact, TJ, the first question I'll ask you is: do you have access to a grinder, whether it's a bench grinder or an angle grinder? Cheers, Yash. Thank you very much, my friend. If you do, then my advice to you is start with a file. Okay, buy yourself a file and then cut the file or even snap the file and grind the edges off so it's smooth. A file is always going to be guaranteed to be a high carbon steel. Okay, as long as it's a metal file, not a wood file, it's guaranteed to be a high carbon steel, which is going to give you a good striking tool. Okay. Don't get stainless carbon steel. Get them. Yeah. Right, stainless. Don't. I've seen this time and time again. Stainless steel for a flint and steel kit. No, don't. Carbon. The higher the carbon steel content, the better. Stainless does not spark in the same manner. It gives a cold spark when it sparks, if it sparks. Dropping everything. Fire kits. So, there's Right, so that was a file. You can see where the teeth were, where it was a file. Okay, now files are high carbon steel. It was a blacksmith's or farrier's file. Flint, chert, you can find them all over the place. Flint tends to work nicely. You can. I wouldn't buy flint. I would basically look around, find out where your area you can find flint, or if you really get stuck, give me a shout and I'll send you up a bit of flint. Okay, but basically what you've got to remember is it's the flint cutting the steel, not the steel cutting the flint, and it's the friction created by that flint cutting the steel as you strike is what creates sparks. Okay, it doesn't take a huge amount of force. You don't need to smash it into it, okay, because all you'll do is chip your flint. But it just takes a little bit of practice. Now, where a lot of people go wrong when they first start it is two common mistakes. One, lifting a finger up. Right, bear in mind that flint's razor sharp. Lifting a finger up and slicing the end off their finger tends to put them off doing it anymore. So it's keep your fingers back away from the edge. So ideally, you want a striker that you can grip like that, so that edge is back, and that's why you see a lot of strikers quite often are this sort of shape. Okay, and it is purely and simply so that you can protect your fingers. It's not a hard technique to learn. It's a technique that takes time, and when I say time, literally an hour or two. Okay, it's a technique that you've got to, and it's something I can't really teach on online, but there is a point between how hard you push into the flint and how you allow it to slide off the flint, and the speed. That's the combination you've got to find, and the only way to do that is literally find an edge of flint, find your steel, and stick there, and you'll start off not working, not working, not working, not working, not working. Right, so just change my angle and my force, and you'll find it. Once you find you're getting the sparks, just repeat it. Muscle memory is a key thing there as well. That's quite a dark piece of flint. There's something a bit lighter, so that hasn't really got a so it worked, and it's practice. I guarantee it. When I'm teaching it up the woods, I can normally get somebody setting fire to a bit of char cloth, making a fire within about 10-15 minutes, and then the knack is to turn around and say to them, "There's some char cloth. Go over there and just play with it, light as many as you can." You know, it's a practice. It's a muscle memory thing. Virginia's pretty good at it, and as anybody else that does it, uses it as a go-to, will tell you, it is a muscle memory thing. It is just repeat, repeat, repeat. You get the feel for it, and once you figured it out one set, you're pretty much guaranteed it on all other sets. But what you're going to do is you've got to look for that edge. You want a sharpest edge you can on that piece of flint, and then you're using that to shave the steel off. Yeah, char does have a shelf life. The fresher the better. Right, so char cloth is hygroscopic. It will pick up moisture from the atmosphere, and basically once that happens, it starts to lose its ability to take a spark so easily. But what you can do is you can revive it. So my char tin is pretty much also what I use for making my char. One. And our ancestors this would have been a regular thing in the evenings, is they would have kept their cloth that they want to char, or the timber that they found that they want to char, or the fungus that they want to char. they would have kept it in a separate bag. And then in the evening, that's my charting. You see it's got a little hole in it. And my char cloth is kept in there. Now, they would remake that on a regular basis. You got to think about, if you're living out in the world, you're travelling long distances, things like that, you're drover, anything like that. You get to the end of the day, you got your fire going, you got your camp doing, what else do you do? So it was the little tasks, refreshing your char. Now, what you can do is, if you think your char's picked up a bit of moisture and you've managed to get your fire going, you can put your tin back on and sit that. You don't have to sit it in the embers, but you can sit it close to. So basically, the heat builds up in there, and again, what will happen is any moisture will vent off, and it will jet from that. So you can refresh your char. I once got told you could overchar char cloth. You can, turns it to powder, but that powder will also take a spark and burn very, very well. Yeah, it looks like I've got an invite to come back and do a couple of scout talks around the place, and I'm also doing I think I've got a couple of days in November, December up the woods with scouts, doing some bits and pieces. So yeah, looking forward to that. I look forward to every year. One of the great things for me is sharing with young people and showing a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of technique, a little bit of methodology, and it's just trying to inspire, like that spark. Um, get people excited about things and get them having a go themselves. Bushcraft Greek is absolutely brilliant at what he does. Yeah, 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 absolutely brilliant. You want to know about tents, Yash? Well, tents, difficult subject, that one. So tents, I don't use a tent that much myself. I tend to use a tarp, so I tend to be quite a wild camper that way. But there are many, many, what can I say, many types of tent out there, many different. It depends where you are, what you're doing, whether you want a baker tent or whether you want a teepee tent. Um, my advice there is don't go cheap and get the best quality you can. Or if you've got to make do with a cheap one, treat it. Treat it with a good waterproofer. I mean, even some of the cheapest tents in the world, if you spend the time to go over the seams with sealants, if you spend the time to treat them, will work. They'll do the job. Nice camping tents. Right. That's all right, TJ. Yeah, it's yeah. Yash, like I say, my method. If you go and have a look at some of my videos, my friend, and you'll see there. I do a lot of top sets. So I like a nice, simple. Don't want to be carrying tent poles. Don't want to be carrying too much gear. It's nice and light. But tents themselves, personally, I recommend. I tend to stick with one Tigris. There, I've got a one Tigris smoky hot tent, which is TP tent. I've got Lavus, which make a nice heavy canvas tent. I used to have a Baker tent, and I used to have a couple of old military canvas tents. And again, they were damn heavy, but they were good. They're good insulation. Yash, I wouldn't like to say, my friend. So you're asking me, US tents are better or Indian? My friend, rooftop tents, yeah, yeah, we've got a lot of those. That's very popular, very good way to go. See a lot of my friends use roof tents on their cars and that for their camping and their adventures or on their 4x4s. Good system, works well. Um, yeah, in actual fact, Yash, there's the man to ask. Is Kitten Killer? He's in Scotland, so northern part of the United Kingdom. Cold, wet, damp, mosquitoes. It's a hellish place. Those guys that camp up there, they're manly men. Um, he uses a tent, but again, that's his environment. So again, he's got to adapt to what you need for your environment. Winter camping down here, I tend to hot tent if I can. Glad it helped. Yeah, yeah, stealthy. You're right there. Many tents, many methods, many different things. It's finding what's again comes back to finding what suits you. Um, you it's find what suits you for your methods, for your comfort, for your pleasure, and make the most of it. Again, quite often I've bought kit over the years where I start off with it and go, it's not quite up to what I wanted, but then I'll sit back, look at it. How can I adapt it? How can I improve on it? Can I make more eyes in it? If I treat it, will it make it more waterproof? If I seam seal it because it's got a leaky seam, I tend not to write things off because I grew up on a farm and I'm a tight-fisted git, uh, so I try and get the money's worth to it. There you go. Cheers, kitten. Terra Nova Voyager 2, man. Too right, DJ. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. Yeah. A good point there, Virginia. There you go. So Virginia likes to use the tent at meetups because they provide a little bit of privacy. Otherwise, he likes tops. Yeah, and again, it's I think it's horses. Of course, it's one of those subjects, isn't it? You can't really one man's meat's another man's poison. I think that's the saying they used to use. It's find what suits you. I mean, the premise of any shelter is primarily to keep the weather off, whether it's wind, sun, rain, and to give you an element of protection. Hi from Australia. Hi, Steve. How you doing? How's Australia today, or this evening, or this morning, or tonight? I'm not sure what your time scale is, where you're going to be in comparison to us there. We are in the UK at the moment. We are at 16:12 on a Thursday afternoon. Weather condition, horrible. Sky colour, grey. Wind, light. From the north, wet. That wet that I haven't seen a bird fly past the window in the last 20 minutes. So they're probably all roosting somewhere trying to keep themselves comfy, and 20 to 1 in the morning. It's an amazing thing, this internet, isn't it? 20 to 1 in the morning. Cool, blimey. Yeah, yeah. Well, right, gentlemen, I'm going to have to leave you for a minute. Right, I'm going to leave you for 2 minutes. I'm desperate for a wee. Drink too much coffee today. I will be back in a moment. Do apologise for that most intently, but unfortunately, I'm an old boy, and the old body is not quite as reliable as it used to be. Right, so brings me to another subject. So, personal hygiene. Personal hygiene in the field. A fortunate mate of mine come across it yesterday, where somebody had been not so much wild camping, but living in the woods and fouled the area. Okay, I mean, we all know what I mean by fouling the area. If you're gonna be out there, okay, we were always taught in the military, shovel recce, dig a hole, dig a good deep hole, bury your waste, get rid of it. Okay, and that is personal waste, not your plastics, your rubbish, that you're all out with you. Or in some environments, it goes into a bag, it's sealed up, put in your kit, and lugged out with you. Okay, and as it's something we all got to take care of. It's something we've all got to look out for. It's also something we've got to be careful of. It's very easy to contaminate and create problems within your own woodland or somebody else's woodland without a little bit of care. It's not. Not something we want to see. Yeah. It's not good. Yeah. So yeah. So I love this. I love this. I'm seeing the discussion going on down there. I could clear off cooked dinner in a minute, and you guys are still in that room. It's part of the fun of this, you know. It's seeing you guys get together, seeing you guys chat brings a great deal of pleasure to me. Anyhow, so hour and 19 minutes. I'm probably going to wind this up in a minute. So I'm going to get back to just where I started. Quick highlight for anybody that's just joined us and didn't see the beginning of that. I'll go back through again what I was originally chatting about. So, cheap trousers, Temu, MTP Combats on Temu, 22 quid a pair. I've beasted these things for the last 6 months. I have really put them through their paces. In fact, it's a year now. Sorry, not 6 months. It's a year now. I've put them through their paces. Up the woods, in the environments, out on camps, up on Dartmoor, and they've survived everything I could throw at them. £22 a pair. You've got a nice sitting pocket there for if you're doing transport or something. They are ripstop, and the ripstop works. The main hems and seams are triple stitched. I've feasted the hell out of them. Are they any good? Yes, they are good. Light, comfortable, ripstop, windproof. Okay, not waterproof, windproof. Still light enough to dry fairly quickly. I'd say Temu, 22 quid. Pair of combats. Can't go wrong with it. The only thing I do to improve them is where you have the hem, the bottom there. What I do is I thread through an elastic, put it on a bobble, so I can just wind that up around the top of my boot, stop ticks and things like that from getting up my trouser legs. Yeah, they're stealth, brilliant. I can't fault them, mate. They definitely a lot cheaper than buying the standard issue MTP combats. But they Yash, any car, mate, any Honda CRV for or Land Rover E4. The other thing I wanted to hit on was a friend of mine gave me that, which I did show on a video the other day, and that is the SA Azula. That gentleman, thank you very much. He knows who he is. I didn't realise how expensive that was, but yeah, beautiful knife, great bit of kit, works a treat. Toyota Land Cruiser, there's a good 4x4, and Swiss Army penknives. Swiss Army penknives. I got the Tinker. I like the Tinker because it's small, light. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tools on it. Okay, all the basic tools that you want, whether it be the hook, Phillips screwdriver, toothpick, tweezers, scissors, all, and 2 blades. People are saying, why 2 blades? Well, 2 blades got 2 different uses, haven't they? You got one for your food and that, and the other one for trimming bits of string. If you can get a G-Wagon, my friend, they tend to be expensive over here. They're good vehicles. Mercedes make a damn good vehicle in the G-Wagon. Used by the German military for donkey's years. Stealth, take it easy, mate. Have fun, stay safe, have your adventures. Catch you later. Be good, my friend. Yeah. Anyhow, yeah, I think I'm going to wind it up there, guys, because pretty much that's been an hour and nearly 30 minutes. Hope you've enjoyed it. Just a quick live. It's not my normal videos, I know, but I'm recovering from a leg injury. So we will be back up in the woods, hopefully in the next week or two. Once the doctor goes, go on, Mick, get out there, start training again. and then we can get back into proper training. Yeah, we will get back into building the mileage back up. Old school Suzuki 4x4. Yeah. I'd love to get another one of them. We'll get back into training, ready for the 124k tab in May. Start building up for that, and we've got a couple of winter overnighters, possibly a meetup coming up, and then sometime around the coldest part of the year, hopefully around February, we'll be doing the winter camp. For those of you that are brave or daft enough to want to come along to that. More information on that as we get there. Guys, stay safe, have your adventures, get outdoors, have fun, enjoy yourself. Dive onto Netflix, have a look at Outlast, see if you can see season 1 on there. If you can, watch that one first, because I'll tell you that was brutal. Season 2's running now. Enjoy that. Okay? Enjoy yourselves. Take care. Love those you do. Forgive those you don't. And as always, peace and light be upon you all. This is Mickey, Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. Have an awesome week and weekend wherever you are in this glorious world of ours. Till next time, Mickey out. Behind the camera.